Before I begin, are you here because you think you can get better results from either your traffic, your leads, or even your customers? Raise your hand if so. Just before we carry on, we have a lot of content to cover, and if I ask you a question, please do answer. And here's why. The only way I can gauge how well I'm teaching you guys things, how well what I'm saying is coming across, is by the level of your response. So if I haven't taught something very clearly the first time round, I might have to teach it again, which then means that we might be done by dinner time. So please, do me a favor, if I ask you a question, answer it. Sounds good? Yes or no? Yeah. Great. Let's keep the energy levels high. Let me also ask you, have you ever been in that circumstance where you spent a lot of time and effort trying to market to a bunch of leads and they didn't convert anywhere close to what you expected? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Great. Most importantly, who else wants to have a better conversion funnel? Who else wants to be able to invest resources where the ROI is the highest so you can grow your business? Yes or no? Yes. Let's do that one last time. Yes or no? How much noise can we make? Yes or no? Yes. Good. As the rest said, my name is Tis Gambacorta. I am the CEO of DVF Xcom. I've been an affiliate since 2011, mostly in the Forex and binary options niches. So I know a thing or two about email marketing, and I will share them with you today. Now, if we take a step back, whatever you're doing today has got you the results where you are today. And for the majority of operators, that involves a lot of lead generation. And that involves a lot of phone selling, telesales. But can we agree that there is a huge limitation in that model? There is only so many people in a sales team. There is only so many hours in a day. And most importantly, there's only so many times you can call a prospect before he tells you to go somewhere. Right? Yes or no? Yes. Good. So what you will find is, and I'll share some statistics with you later on, is that in the majority of cases, what is behind the success of any large business, be it in our niche or in another niche, is the ability to communicate with large numbers of people leveraging technology. So let's take a step back. How many of us have had that frustrating feeling where you know that your leads are good, you know that your traffic is good, but the conversions are not coming through? And let's keep something in mind. We know that we need to leverage technology by now, right? Yes or no? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But the real question is it right for you? Do you agree with me that if you want to get different results, you have to do something different in your strategy? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, man.
Great. You will go a long way. So here's the thing. Einstein once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So the real question we're trying to answer here in these few minutes that we have together is, you're here, you're getting these results. You want to be here, and the question is, what is the vehicle that is going to take us from here to here? If you are in this room today, it's perhaps because you want to double, maybe 5x, maybe 10x your results, so that you can work on growing your business where it really matters the most. So whether you're looking at converting more leads, whether you're looking at getting more out of your retention, whether you're looking at keeping that top-of-mind effect so that the lead converts with you and not a competitor when he's ready to convert. What's behind the success of most businesses, if you look at it deep enough, is the ability to engage and communicate with large amounts of people. Why sell one-to-one when you can sell one-to-many? How many of you have a business and you think that you can get more out of your leads? Yes or no? Who thinks that that's the case? Yes. Not many people. Yes or no? Who thinks that? Yes. Good. How many of you think that you have something unique to offer that people can benefit from? Raise your hand. So doesn't it make sense to use the very same strategies that the Facebooks, the Amazon of this world have used to get to where they are today? By the way, guess who one of the largest senders of email is? Facebook. So how do we do this? And really, this is quite simple. We do this with a 4-step system that I will share with you shortly. But before we do that, I'd like to reiterate that whether you are an operator, a service provider, or anything else, when it comes to growing your business, to converting leads, email is the #1 form of communication in marketing. Email is the #1 form. There's a study published by the Direct Marketing Association that showed how out of every $1 spent on email marketing, the average return on investment is $40. That is 4,000%. So what's the system? There are 4 elements to this. The first element is you need a strategy. And this is where most people fall short. You need to know where you want to go, what you want to achieve with what resources by what date before you start heading anywhere. And for those of you who might already be on my list, that's what I call the goal keeper system. If you're not on my list, you can go to DVFX, that's my website, dvfx.com, and sign up. Then, the second thing is we need content. We need content that engages people, that motivates people to do things. Number 3, we need a robust deployment strategy, an execution strategy. This is often overlooked. How are we going to make sure that our emails don't end up in the spam folder? How are we going to make sure that if my email marketing person in-house is off sick, then that email doesn't get missed out on? We do this with automation. And we also need a better clicker, I think. Cool. Lastly, we need metrics and ROI. How can I measure the success of my email campaign? How can I make sure that I am getting as close as possible or possibly exceeding that 4,000% ROI? Now, let me ask you something. How many of you here have sent an email? Yes. Those of you who have not raised your hand, you're clearly lying. So who in here has sent an email before? Good. Who in here has tried to send an email newsletter and you've stared at your blank screen wondering, what the heck am I going to write? Have you been in that situation? See, that's floating principle. That lacks a strategy. What you have to do first is figure out what you want to achieve with your email campaign, by what dates, with what offer, with what medium, and then start producing the content that gets you there. So we covered all this. Then we need to deploy the campaign, of course. We've got the content, we've got a strategy, we need to deploy. Now, what is the number one things that major brands like Coca-Cola, Nestle, Unilever, and so on have in common when it comes to their email marketing? And that is, they are sending the right marketing message at the right time. So we need timing and deployment. And lastly, we've spoken about this. There's no point running any email unless you can track the success, unless you can track for every dollar that you spend, how much are you making back. See, there's only one way to grow a business. It's actually quite simple. And that is, you have to make more than what you spent. But how can you know that you're making more if you don't know how much you're making? So, these are 4 models. So to recap, we've got strategy, the goalkeeper model. We've got content, the demand model. We've got number 3, which is deployment and implementation. That is the send and grow rich model that I teach. And number 4 is the Tri-Summit tracking system. So that's ROI and metrics. Now, these are things that I usually cover in quite some details, but we don't have too long today. So we are going to dig deep into what is perhaps the most important model out of all 4. And that's the demand model. So the first D is that single thing without which nothing happens. You can have the best email content, the best strategy. But if you don't get this right, it's all futile. And D is driving people from the inbox to your email message. In other words, it's subject lines. The user's inbox are clearly crowded with all sorts of messages. Have you ever come across a subject line that as soon as you see it, you just cannot stop yourself from opening that email? Anyone? I have. That's what the D stands for. It's driving people from the inbox to the email. It's mainly subject line. It's also from name. It's also brand name. It's reputation. Now, the E is what most newbie email marketing professionals get wrong. And I'm guilty of that. I got it wrong. I was trying to engage audiences by emulating other people. And guess what? I was achieving everything but engagement. I just wasn't being myself. In this day and age, what works when it comes to email marketing is being real, being transparent, being yourself, having an identity. Gone are the days of big brands with big razzmatazz. It's about being authentic. So don't do what other people are doing. Do what works. The third thing we need to do, and we're going to see an example of this. So we've figured out subject lines. We then need to engage people. So how do we do this? We do this in the first couple of sentences within an email. I'll show you an example later. So those first two sentences in an email is what pulls people from the subject line, pulls them into your content so that they continue reading. But that's not all. We need to make sure that they are then motivated to take whatever action we want them to take. So before I show you an example of what to do, let me show you an example of what not to do. So this is by a rather large binary options brand. Dear Sarah, we are happy to welcome you to the such and such family. Such and such specializes in creating tailored financial solutions. One of our financial experts will contact you shortly to better understand your needs. In order to log into your account, please use your email and password. Is there any engagement in there? No, right? Am I motivated to do anything? No, there's no benefit. As a matter of fact, is it even clear what needs to be done? No. There's no call to action. The user has no idea what he needs to do once he's in front of this email. And let me break you some news. There's no shortage of emails that he's receiving. So if he's not engaged and motivated by your email within 3 seconds, guess what he's going to do? Here's an example of what is to be done. What I've done for 4 years in this niche. Happy Saturday. Great. There's some personalization. It's not just a generic hi. By the way, obviously, all of this can be leveraged through technology. You don't have to sit there and write Saturday. This is crucial. Pay very close attention here. There has been a lot of interest in the trading community recently about binary options. Check out this 1-minute 26 introductory video by Rory McKay. Few words, very powerful. Here's our engage part of the email. There's a lot of interest, or there's been a lot of interest in the trading community recently about binary options. Implicitly, we're creating social proof. If there has been a lot of interest in the community about something, people want to find out what it is. Everyone finds something this interesting. I don't want to miss out. By the way, one of the most important drivers when writing emails is fear of missing out. People fear missing out more than they fear not getting a benefit, if that makes sense. So, implicit social proof. So now we've engaged the guy. He's thinking, OK, I'm curious. What is it? The next part is then, check out this 1-minute introductory video from Rory McKay. Curiosity, who the heck is Rory McKay? And now we are satisfying his need of finding out what is it that is creating so much buzz. So we're giving him that motivation to take things one step further. And finally, we have the A in demand, which is a call to action, which is in this case a very simple link. Why is it a simple link as opposed to something hyperlinked? It's because we've already embedded the call to action in the check out this introductory video. Another important point. Why are we saying 1-minute 26? We want to convey the message that it's a short video that people can watch there and then and be done with it and move on, as opposed to being a video that can be 2 hours long, in which case the person needs to set some time aside in a calendar to watch the video later, and we all know that later means never. So that's our call to action. Now, before we move on, let's take a step back and see where we are here. So we've figured out how to use subject lines to drive people from a generic crowded email inbox into our email. We then figured out how to engage people in the very first couple of phrases, and then we figured out how to motivate people to take action, i.e. follow a call to action. Now, this is all part of a bigger email marketing program. This is where we create the content with a demand model. After we've created a strategy with a goalkeeper model, and then that's before we go and create an implementation plan with the send and grow reach model. And finally, we need to track ROI. So email marketing can be daunting, invariably. Now, this is a secret sauce. There's no more secret to this. When clients outsource their email marketing to us, or when I teach these, that's it. All of this can be covered in 3 days. It's actually quite simple once you start to understand what works. In fact, we run a certification course and we cover this in 3 days. But not only we teach you what we do, most importantly, we get you to implement there and then. So you teach, learn. Sorry, you learn, you implement. So that by the time you're done with the certification, you're actually going back to the office and you have something that you can start implementing right away. You have a plan. You know how to write content. You know how to engage people. You know how to track your ROI. But there is more. What I always recommend to do, and what we do, is don't just implement. Get immediate feedback so that you start optimizing your email campaign even before you start sending out a single email. So if you're doing this in-house, you can ask for feedback to colleagues. If you are within a course setting, well, in fact, what I do is I get my top email copywriter in the room, and I say, hey, let's now go through every campaign, every strategy, every piece of content, and start giving direct feedback. I know there are going to be questions at the end, so I may as well cover this now very briefly. For those of you who are interested in the certification course, the next dates, and you might want to write this down, are going to be Cyprus, June 10th, 11th, and 12th. Then we have London, which is June 29th and 30th, and July 1st. And then we have Nicosia again. Sorry, the first one is Limassol. Then we have Nicosia, and that is 13th, 14th, 15th of July. So, back to business. The note, and this is a painful one. This is the thing that most people get wrong. And what makes it worse is that you're leaving up to 50% of your results on the table. Have you ever received an email that has an amazing headline, amazing banner graphics, amazing content, and then at the bottom has a blurb this big of disclaimers in tiny font? Have you ever received such email? Yes or no? Do we need to go through this again, or yes or no? Yes. Good. Well, here's what happens. This is how a human eye reads an email. Let's go back to the example. So clearly they read the top part of the email. Then they scroll all the way down to the bottom of the email to find out how long this thing is. How long do I need to put aside to read this email? If they still like what they read, then they're going to move back to the center part of the email and read what it is that they got the email for. So the bottom part, the footer of the email, is the second most part of the email that's read. So then doesn't it make sense to put another headline with another call to action there? Right? Do we agree? Yes or no? Yes. Good. So that's the note part of things, aka APS. Okay, so this one is where you could be missing out on 81% of your conversions. That's 81% of your conversions. The American Association of Sales Professionals published a study that 81% of conversions happen after the 5th marketing contact. And let me ask you, how many times do you follow up with your prospects and leads on average? So this is the D, right? So does it not make sense to duplicate this process to send out at least 5, 6, 7, or 8 emails? Now, here's what we did. We took a sample of 44 binary options operators over a period of 30 days in April and May this year, and we signed up for their offers. So we started analyzing their email marketing, and we found out some very interesting things. To start with, we ranked them by what type of emails have they been sending? Is it mostly educational or promotional? Do they have automated email marketing? You'd be surprised to know that some don't. They're manually sending out emails. We also looked at, do they integrate with social media in those emails? And so on. But the key takeaway was that on average, a binary options operator, and the situation is very similar in Forex, will follow with a lead, will follow up with that lead once a week. And here's why it's so bad. If you then look at the top 3 brands who happen to be some of the biggest names in the market, they are following up more than once a day. The number 1 brand has been sending out to leads, not traders, 36 emails in 30 days. That's more than 1 email per day, including weekends and public holidays. And it's not a fluke. Number 2, has been sending out, if I remember correctly, 21 marketing messages in 30 days. So that's once every business day, 5 times a week. Number 3 has been sending out 19 in 30 days. And those are the biggest brands in the market. In other words, the more you market through email, the more you make, the more activity you create. And 2 things. One, if you want to get a copy of the report, we give it away for free. Just come see me at the end and we'll email it to you. The second thing is, this is not spam. People have actively opted in for marketing messages. It's all about how you avoid death by email. And this is one of the things that we do for clients and we teach clients. So who are the top 3? Option Fair, 36 messages in 30 days. Optech, 22 messages. I stand corrected, in 30 days. And finally, 24 Option, 20 messages in 30 days. So what does this tell us? Then we have any option, 14 messages, and so on. As we said, it tells us that the more you email, the more you grow. Now, before we get onto this, if you want to see all this in action, you can go to my website, which is dvfx.com. That's dvfx.com, and sign up. See what happens. Actually, you don't need to see, I can tell you. And that will have a couple of very important conclusions for us. The first one is, as soon as you enter your email and website, you're redirected to another page, which finds out more information about why you are there. So what's your main problem? How soon are you looking to solve that problem? What industry are you in? Then you're redirected, because you're booking a free email marketing audit, you're redirected to a live system where you can boot your audit in real time. And after that, so that is step 4, you're redirected to an introductory video. And that's not all. In the next days, weeks, month, we keep sending you free content, free education that is directly relevant to what you answered in step 2. So if you said, my number 1 problem is conversions, guess what you're going to be sent? Content on how to increase conversions. So let me ask you, after a prospect has gone through all of that content, what's the likelihood of us converting him? Once we know all of that information, once we know what the prospect's problem is, how they engage with our emails, what they click on, what drives them to engage with our website and our brand, do we have a higher likelihood of converting him? Yes or no? Yes or no? Good. Oops, not yet. Okay, just before we wrap up, so this is the option fare inbox. So these are all the messages, I'll save you the counting, it's 36 of them, that we've received in a 30-day time span. Now and here there's still things to improve, but let me ask you something. Do you think that in any of those emails, they are making people an offer that they cannot resist? Do you think that people are taking them up on that offer? Of course. So, this is us for today. We're right on time. If you're interested in outsourcing your email marketing to us, come see me at the end. I'll collect your details and we can take it from there. And most importantly, we'll send you a bunch of free information so you can really start seeing what email can do for you. This is just a taste of what we've covered today. If you're interested in our email marketing certification, here are the dates again. So Limassol, 10th, 11th, 12th of June. Then we have London, UK, 29th, 30th of June, and then the 1st of July, 3 days. And finally, then we have Nicosia, 13th, 14th of July. Cost, if you're wondering. Now, I normally don't do this. The reason I'm doing this in this specific environment, and the reason we'll be running courses specifically to this industry, is that we are looking to grow in this industry. So we're collecting case studies. My question is, will you be the next case study? Will you be the next success story? We've had clients for which we've increased revenue 92% in 3 months. We've had clients that they've made their return on investment within 1 day of sending out email marketing. Anyway, if you're interested about the course, come see me at the end. I'll grab your details and book your place. Finally, if you want to see all of this in action and you want to get a free email marketing audit in the process, go to DVFX, that's Delta Victor Freddy X-ray.com/booking. You will get the free audit and you will see all of this in action. That's all from me today. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tits.